Good afternoon. My name is Phil Ginsberg. I'm the General Manager of our Recreation and Park Department, and it is a extraordinarily special day, and I'm really excited to be here with so many of our city's leadership and our park partners and friends that have all played a key role in making San Francisco's park system one of the very best in the country. I actually can't today, not everybody may know this, but it is National Recreation and Park Month, the month of July, so we call it our Summer of Park Love, Mr. Mayor, our Summer of Park Love. All right. Yes, thank you. There has been a lot of love, and we get to announce this really an unprecedented $6.5 million appropriation from our state budget because of our co-host today, Assemblyman Phil Ting. Thank you, Phil. So it really does take a village, and because of all the leadership of all of the folks here, we are renovating parks all over town in neighborhoods that deserve it and need it the most. And it's local funding, it's state funding, it's philanthropic funding, it's community partners and advocates. And this particular project where we're located today, the site of the Geneva Car Barn and Powerhouse, I can think of no better example of just true grit, determination, and partnership to make it happen. And there really were a tremendous number of hands in making this project a success. So let me acknowledge, before I introduce them and have them speak, obviously our amazing mayor, Ed Lee. I already introduced and recognized Assemblymember Phil Ting, and if it wasn't for his leadership and his efforts, really, I'm not sure we'd all be here right now. Supervisor Ashish Safai will be joining us momentarily. Supervisor Fewer, Supervisor Yee have all been incredibly strong advocates of our parks and open space for years. I do want to acknowledge a few other folks. It's our commission president, Mark Buell, who often says victory has many parents, and there are a lot of parents here up at the dais. I also want to acknowledge Commissioners Gloria Bonilla and Tom Harrison, our entire parks community and community partners from the San Francisco Parks Alliance. The Community Arts Stabilization Trust, Moy Ng is here, who heads that organization. The Performing Arts Workshop, which will be our tenant in this amazing space. The Arts Commission, representatives from the Parks Recreation Open Space Advisory Committee, a lot of District 11 leaders and neighbors are here. We have some of our board members from the old Friends of the Geneva office building and Powerhouse. I saw Dan Weaver, Al Harris here. And I want to really give a special shout out to former Supervisor John Avalos, who has really been a driver in this project. Thank you, John. All right. So let me bring up our first two very, very special guests, but let me start with our mayor, who has been celebrating and talking about and championing parks, not just all over this city, but he was just at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, where he introduced the first national resolution calling for every city in the country to make sure that 100% of our residents are within a 10-minute walk of a park. Our mayor and these elected leaders get to preside over the very first city that has that. Mr. Mayor, our park champion in chief.
Thank you, Phil. So, in the spirit of the summer love, I get to do another corny phrase, which is, this is a day we can say that two Phils are better than one. All right? So I'm always saying two Eds. But I want to thank Phil, of course, Ginsberg, for his leadership, and it's gotten us to a fantastic point, not just for our city with our 220 park system, but I get to brag to the other mayors that no one else can say that their residents all live within a 10-minute walk of a park. We're the only city in the country, and now with the the Trust for Public Lands, we are the top three in the country in our park system. The leadership of Park and Rec, thank you very much for that. And it's what people like Dan Weaver and others love. I mean, they're residents that demand world-class parks, and they don't let anybody go unless they perform. So I do also want to say thank you to John Avalos, because I know he advocated for this for many years, and we couldn't find the entire $25 million that you wanted, John. I know you still want that, but inching it up and doing proportional. But today, I really say it's a big thank you to somebody who's ascended from our assessor recorder, used to be the director of the Asian Law Caucus where I worked at. He's got obviously the equity lens and everything he does, but he's now ascended to one of the most important positions in the state of California, and that's the budget chair of the budget for the entire state of California. That is a serious ascension. And the nice thing about people from our city that get into these state jobs, they don't just sit around and enjoy the job. They actually go to work. They actually listen. He remembers all of the things that we had around our parks. And when he gets an opportunity, by golly, $6.5 million contribution is a great opportunity, Phil. So thank you very much for this and other things that you're doing that we'll announce in the near future with other partners in the city. But this is another great contribution to our city. It's another reflection of what is important to the residents here, not just to the city government, but to the residents and what they want to see. And that equity lens is so important because you talk about a neighborhood like this area, and you don't just have to hear it from John Avalos anymore. He doesn't have to say, no one listens to us. We're listening here. We're making investments in this District 11, and we're making it in transit corridors that are rich, but we're also doing it for all the right reasons. And whether it's our libraries, our child care centers, whether it's affordable housing, now it's parks and rec centers and art centers are getting the attention. I think D11 is found its way and its voice. And Asha's going to be here in a minute. She's creating a big voice for this district as well, and working in collaboration. Oh, you are right here. Hey. All right. And working in collaboration with the other supervisors to make sure his district gets represented. But I think this is a great national celebration. It puts this particular site on not just the San Francisco map, on the actual national map, because we're here in a very historic building. That's why it's so expensive. You have to actually care for these 100-year-old bricks that are here and making sure that we can reuse this place in a safe manner. And it's an area where I think we did need some uplifting, and it's a perfect site for the kinds of enjoyment we want to have, and arts is very important to this community as well. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's working on this. Continue to work on it. But today, it's all about thanking our assemblyman, budget chair, who's driving the conversation that he's going to make sure the state pays attention to the greatest city in the world. That's Phil Ting. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure I can top that introduction, but I thought I would just offer one small anecdote, which is normally in a parks world, and not just your parks director, but parks directors all over the country and their commissioners. We're always the ones doing the asking. Hey, can we fund this? Hey, can we fund this? We need money for this. And in this particular example, Assemblyman Ting actually called us and said, you know, we want to do something for parks. We want to do something in neighborhoods that are important. We have an opportunity to do it because of my leadership position on the budget. You know, take me on a tour. Show me what's important to you. And we did. He was here. And it didn't look as nice. This is a fixer-upper, but it didn't look anywhere near as nice as it does today. And I just wanted to say, thank you, Phil, for really getting it and caring about parks. And we really, $6.5 million. This project, we're going to talk about our dog park in Golden Gate Park. We're going to talk about Lake Merced in a second. But these are so important to the quality of life of San Franciscans. And so we're extremely grateful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Phil. I'll just echo the mayor's comments. I mean, it's so great to be able to work with a great rec and park director like Phil Ginsburg, who brings that fire, that passion, him and his whole staff. I mean, they live and breathe this. This is not a job. This is really a way of life and a passion, and I think our residents have really been the huge beneficiaries. It's your vision to make sure that parks are there for each of us, that they're close by, but that also treasures like the Geneva Car Barn get fixed up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your vision and leadership of our great city. It's something that it's only downside of the job. I don't get to be in the city every single day anymore, but it's really important that we always pay attention to what's going on at home. And I remember talking to Phil Ginsburg a few months ago about the Geneva Car Barn. And for me, I've been hearing about the Geneva Car Barn for over 20 years. I'd actually was under the misimpression that Supervisor Avalos had got it done and it was already up and running. I wanted to see what, it just looked that way from the outside. It was those nice, those nice drops outside. And I said, hey, I want to see a tour. I want to see where it's at. Because I thought, okay, maybe it's already going. And when I got in and kind of Phil had walked me through the plan and frankly how close they were to really getting through phase one and how really, really close they were. I mean, this was just a huge opportunity for us, for the city, but for District 11, for Supervisor Avalos, Supervisor Safai, and really, more and more the residents, Dan Weaver, I saw Al Harris lurking somewhere in the back, but really it's for all the residents, or is he behind me? So he was, see, he's somewhere. But this is really for the residents of District 11. Because for so long, I mean, I've come to so many community meetings down here. We had to go to the police station. Very few places to congregate, very few places to meet, very few places to really call community. And what better place than the Geneva Car Barn, which is right across from that BART Muni station, which is the busiest one outside of downtown, where people can come, easy access to transit, be a hub for our community, where we could have art space, community space, meeting space, but really provide that opportunity for this district, which is still, and maybe the last working class district in our city. And it's one of the last more affordable places. I don't know if any place is affordable in town anymore, but one of the more affordable districts in our city. So this was a huge opportunity. I was so honored, but really, frankly, we were just lucky. We were at a place where it was ready to go. The project was ready to go. All the work had been put in, the specs had there, so we were able to kind of just get it right across the finish line. And it was just a huge honor to be able to do that this year. For the Richmond District and the Golden Gate Park, we have an amazing opportunity for the dog park. I know Supervisor Fewer is really new, and I was one of the people who really encouraged her to run for the board, and very happy that you're on the board. And we want to make sure that we're supporting you and your efforts in the Richmond District, and I can't think of a better way to go ahead and do that than this project. And definitely not least, Supervisor Yee and Lake Merced, we have an awesome opportunity. Lake Merced is that jewel. Is one of my first entry points into San Francisco communal politics was the Lake Merced Task Force. And Lake Merced is this treasure that so many people don't know about. You get to do dragon boating in Lake Merced. You can fish in Lake Merced. You can run around Lake Merced. The mayor and I will hit golf balls in that Lake Merced. And it's just this amazing treasure. You have so many people who really value it from all different walks of life, and it's just an honor to be able to do this. But I think what this stands is just, it's really easy to be able to support all these projects because we have an amazing team here at Rec and Park. The hard work has been done to identify the projects and to really make sure that once the money's there, they can be spent, and that these projects will really come to fruition very, very quickly. And it's just a huge honor to be able to deliver that to our city. And just again, thank you to our mayor, thank you to Phil Ginsburg, but also to all the supervisors and former supervisors. I mean, I know I was really glad to see John here because I know for years and years and years he just talked about District 11 and never doing enough for District 11 and making sure that we paid attention to District 11. So that's why when we took the tour, Geneva Car Barn was my #1 priority. It was absolutely like, we have to do something for District 11 and to get it across the finish line. So this is for all the District 11 residents who've been working on this for 20 plus years. Thank you for your determination and your grit, and really happy to get this done and looking forward to the ribbon cutting.
Thank you, Phil. Next up, we get to hear from our supervisor in District 11, who was on the Friends of the Geneva Car Barn back in the day. We've had very continuous leadership on this project. It is at the top. It has been at the top of the District 11 priority list for a number of years. So I'm pleased to introduce Asha Safai.
Thank you. So about 7 months ago, I was standing across the street with Mayor Lee, and he said, what are some of the first priorities going to be when you become supervisor? And I pointed to the car barn, and I said, Mr. Mayor, we got to get that project done. And he said, I want to see a plan. I want to see a plan. So our previous supervisor, Avalos, had put some money into the add-back process and had been an advocate for this building. But I have to say that Phil Ginsburg, our director of Rec and Park, really grabbed the bull by the horns. $2 million, then turned into $11 million. And a thought turned into a full-fledged plan. And that's why we're standing here today. And then on top of that, and this is why it's important to elect the right people, you don't even have to advocate with Assemblyman Phil Ting. He just came to us and added an additional $3.5 million to this project. So we're halfway there. We have at least this part, the Powerhouse, will be cared for, restored, and activated. We're going to have a phenomenal program. We're going to have the Performing Arts Workshop. We have a phenomenal partner in the Community Arts Stabilization Trust, who I had not heard about until I was in transition, and all of a sudden, I kept hearing cast, cast, cast. And here we are with a wonderful partner there. So the team is really, really coming together. But I just want to say one more thing before I hand the mic back to Director Ginsburg. It really takes, at the end of the day, community advocates. And if anyone has been a champion for this project, it would be Dan Weaver. To the point where even many of his own allies were like, Dan, let the building fall. Please stop talking about the car barn. We're sick and tired of the car barn. But he never gave up. And he roped a lot of people in, a lot of community advocates on the board, advocated for this project. As Director Ginsburg said, I was on the board for a few years and then got off. And then they got someone that's with Rec and Park now. Nicole Averill was our director for a short while. Now she's been an advocate on the inside. So everything is aligning. And thank you to the mayor for supporting this. He doesn't very often support add-backs, but he made an exception last year, didn't send it back to the board, and supported this and allowed the process to go forward. So we're so excited that this facility has the opportunity to be one of the premier performing art facilities in the entire city. And we want that for the children and families of District 11. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Before we turn our attention from the car barn, I just want to make a few more acknowledgments. First of all, our City College trustee, Alex Randolph, is here sporting the Rec and Park swag. Headquarters is just up the street, so City College is going to be a very important piece of this too. And I also want to just acknowledge the Rec and Park team that's really worked tirelessly on this project. There have been many, but thank you, Supervisor Safai, for recognizing Nicole Averill, who started out as the original executive director of the Friends of the Geneva Car Barn, came to Rec and Park, and has really championed this project from both sides of the fence ever since. And I don't know if she's here or not, but she really deserves a great debt of gratitude because she's done extraordinary work. Also here is our project manager, Reem Asaf, who I saw. And this project is very complicated. It has a lot of funding sources. It includes new market tax credits. So I wanted to thank Mr. Mayor, the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and the board members of the SCIF, which were very involved in this. Your Arts Commission was very involved in this. There were truly, President Buell, a lot of parents to this project. And so this would be a great press conference if it were just this we were celebrating. There's a cultural, my culture has an expression called Dayenu, which means as if that weren't enough. So the Geneva Car Barn, $3.5 million, Mr. Assemblyman, as if that weren't enough. We're also here to celebrate $2 million for the Golden Gate Park Dog Park. San Francisco has over 150,000 dogs. We have almost 30 off-leash dog parks. They're never enough, according to our dog-loving constituents. The Golden Gate Park Dog Park is incredibly important. It draws literally hundreds and hundreds of dogs every day, and it, as Supervisor Fewer has advocated and recognized right out of the gate, it needed love and attention, and this is another project that we would not be here celebrating today without Assemblyman Ting, so I am going to introduce Supervisor Fewer to talk all about it.
Thank you, Phil. So I know we're here to celebrate this wonderful project, which I think is going to be beautiful, but I think, echoing what people have said today, it's really a day of gratitude and thanks. So I want to thank especially Assemblymember Phil Ting for recognizing that Golden Gate Park is a treasure in San Francisco, and we need to reinvest in our treasure for everybody to enjoy it. It belongs not only to District 1, although 70% of Golden Gate Park is in my district. It really belongs to every person that comes to visit San Francisco as a tourist, and also our residents of San Francisco. And so I am thrilled that the two Phils got together, actually, and made this happen. And Assemblymember, I just want, I mean, I would kiss him. Actually, I hugged him really for a long time. I would kiss him if he actually let me. And you first, and then no. I just want to say, yeah, good. I would kiss him if he actually thought it was appropriate and said it's okay. Because I am so grateful. You know, this project actually came to mind when, before I ran for office in 2015, I took my beloved grand dog to the Golden Gate Park dog park, and the dog would not get off my lap. And for dog lovers and dog owners, you know that a tired dog is a good dog. And so I looked at that and I thought, man, we need to renovate this, got some neighbors together. I thought we would be fundraising for 5 years. I never thought that somebody else would see the importance of this resource in Golden Gate Park that has not had any renovations for the last 50 plus years. This is a park, as Phil Ginsburg said, that is used by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dogs every single day, and especially in my neighborhood, where we have a lot of dogs and a lot of seniors with dogs. This is really a true, true gift with value beyond measure to my neighborhood, but also to Golden Gate Park and to everyone who visits Golden Gate Park. And the mayor, I want to thank him because actually I can walk to my park in 3 minutes. And so to have that resource in my backyard, and also for everyone in my district and everyone in San Francisco, outdoor space being a premium here, land use being at a premium in San Francisco, but carving out these spaces where people can enjoy the outdoors and nature. This is part, I think, of our value in San Francisco and reflects actually who we are as San Franciscans. I can't tell you, I thought we'd be fundraising for 5 years for this park. This was an unbelievable gift. When I heard about it, that it was final, and that actually Assemblymember Phil Ting had worked so hard to get this for us, it was beyond words. It was, I would say, I went from blaming him for me running to thanking him and wanting to kiss him. So I would say not only supporting me personally, but supporting my neighborhood, but supporting the park in general. San Francisco, as I said before, Golden Gate Park is such a treasure in San Francisco, and these investments are going to make it even more enjoyable. So thank you so much. I invite everyone to come and bring their dog out there once it's built, and I think we're just going to have the world-class dog park to match this world-class city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. So again, $3.5 million for Geneva Car Barn, $2 million for Golden Gate Park Dog, as if that weren't enough. Dayenu. Yet there's more, which is Assemblyman Ting was able to procure another $1 million for an existing project we have at Lake Merced, where we have $2.5 million of 2012 park bond money, which is not nearly enough for all of the work that needs to happen at Lake Merced, which is enjoyed by seniors, by kids, by rowers, by golfers, by dog walkers, by environmentalists. It is really just a joy and an oasis, and this appropriation allows us to do 33% more. So with that, I'd like to turn over to Supervisor Yee to talk a little bit about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. First of all, it's really important in San Francisco to understand that we have to maintain our recreation and park spaces. Not only that, our population is growing by leaps and bounds, and we need to expand our spaces. And this is a perfect example of why we need to get it done. Because of the growing population, we need more space for people to recreate. And thank you, Mayor Lee, thank you, Assembly Field team, for having that vision and foresight to support these type of projects. And I especially want to thank Assemblyman Phil Ting for giving us on the west side some love. It's like, oh my God, we're actually getting some funding on the west side. Thank you. In districts 1, 7, and 11, the oddballs. So I want to say real quickly that when I first came into office a little over 4 years ago, and I go around and talk to my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors. I go to John Avalos. Of course, the first thing he says is, congratulations. The second thing he says is, have you gone to the car barn? And about a week later, my office gets a call from Dan Weaver saying, are you going to visit the car barn? Even though it's in District 11? But guess what? When this is built, half the people that will be using this will be coming from District 7, which is 2 blocks away. So there. It's not just for you. And for Lake Merced area, most people have been out there, and when you talk about people using facilities, we literally every single day have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people using the whole area. And there's a lot going on there. And there's a lot more that will be going on there because of new possibilities, new opportunities, even activate the boathouse more, and we have the other side of the lake where we're going to have some new recreation facilities there. And I walk there once or twice a week, and I love it to be able to walk there as for my exercise. And to have this funding, did you say 3 million?
Well, it's 3 million total.
Just one, okay. I'll take the one.
Just 1 million.
But thank you very much, Assembly Phil Ting, because it's going to do wonders for Lake Merced, and really it's not just a D7 asset, it's an asset for the whole city, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. So we're going to end where we started, which is return to the place that we're at now. This building was the home of the city's first electric railway system. It was owned at first by a private railway company and then by MTA. It was occupied until 1989, at which time it was so damaged by the Loma Prieta earthquake that it shut down. But this building's from 1901, so it actually outlived 2 earthquakes, believe it or not. And this building was scheduled to be demolished in 1998. The community, and you've heard a little bit about his leadership today, but it was Dan and a lot of other folks, many of whom are here, who organized and convinced then Mayor Willie Brown to save the building. And so in 2004, the San Francisco Recreation and Park Department was blessed with this fixer-upper. And it has taken well over a decade, but here we are. And there is no chance that we would be here today, no way, that we would be poised to embark on renovating this amazing space for a nonprofit youth-serving arts program were it not for the Friends of the Geneva Car Barn, and specifically, and I'd like to give him a moment or two to say a word, because I think it's a little bit of an emotional moment for Dan. He's a little misty-eyed back there, which is not normally Dan's style. And so I'd like to really thank and acknowledge and bring up Dan Weaver to say a few words.
Hello. This is a great day. Thank you, Assemblyman Ting. Thank you, Mayor Lee, for coming out here. That's great. I just wanted to say a few words about the uniqueness of our neighborhood nonprofit, the Friends of the Geneva office building and Powerhouse, to be exact, because, of course, the car barn was out there and it was knocked down a lot of years ago. You're in a historic space. This is a 114-year-old roof that's never been fixed. So that's why this is an important, appropriate time to move this forward before the building collapses. It's kind of like right at the nick of time.
We have some time.
Don't run out right now. It has to be raining and or windy before it probably fails. In addition to giving information wherever I could or we could, primarily in the neighborhood and also at City Hall over the years. First, I should say this campaign started for us in about 1990 when the whole building complex got boarded up and fenced off, while Muni spent 10 years putting together an EIR that said the building needs to be demolished. And at that point, we undertook a campaign. The campaign was successful in January of 1999, and the nonprofit was formed in 2002. We persuaded Rec Park to take it over in 2004, and we've been campaigning to get to this day, and the hopefully soon to come rest of the time it's going to take to fix the complex up. I just wanted to tell you that beyond that, we also raised money to do the first sketch level design and have a competition among 3 excellent San Francisco architects for the right to do a sketch design for the building, a campaign led by Nicole Averill while she was our first ED. And it's a great design. You can see images of it around the room here. We went out and got an EPA grant to do the hazardous waste study needed for this property. We got pro bono design services, legal services. We paid for half the EIR cost, amazingly, and other costs when we and the city were considered equal partners. That stopped at some point a couple of years ago when we couldn't afford our share. I think it's a fair thing to say. We also took care of the National Trust for Historic Places designation, which is required for historic tax credits. So we've done a lot of little things to move this project forward, but it's still taken a long time, and hopefully it's going to be moving faster now that we show people what the first phase can look like and that we can actually get the beginning phase or the first phase going. So it's an unusual neighborhood nonprofit in the sense that we were doing all kinds of things.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so this concludes the press conference, but I think we have a few minutes for a few questions, I've been told, if anybody has any about the project or of any of our elected leadership back here. Yes?
When can we expect that ribbon cutting?
So we hope to be in construction by the end of the year, and the project will take between 9 and 12 months. So, things always need to go your way when you do a construction project, but we're very excited to welcome Performing Arts Workshop here late 2018. All right, happy summer, happy National Recreation and Park Association Month.